2026-2027 schedule is officially here, and Manny Malhotra is walking straight into a gauntlet. We're talking 84 games, 11 sets of back-to-backs, and a brutal opening stretch against the league's elite. There's one specific travel quirk that is hidden in January that is going to be the ultimate litmus test for this young core, and most fans are completely missing it. Let's break down the full schedule and why the start of February will define exactly where this rebuild stands. So let's dive right into it. Starting off with, of course, October. And as we mentioned, Manny Malhotra is walking straight into a gauntlet to start this season, as technically the season starts September 29th against the Edmonton Oilers in Edmonton. So yes, we are getting September hockey to start. Remember, as I said, 84 game schedule. So the season starts at the end of September on the 29th against the Edmonton Oilers. Now, we just talked about, the Oilers. Well, the Canucks are starting the season once again against the Oilers in Edmonton, as we just mentioned, as well as at home. We're talking about the home opener. Will be against the Edmonton Oilers on October 1st at 7 p.m. The Oilers come to town after the Canucks spend a couple days in Edmonton to start the season on the 29th. So home opener on October 1st. Circle that date on your calendars to see Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl come to town. Moving back to October here. October 3rd, you have the Calgary Flames coming into town, followed by the Vegas Golden Knights in Vancouver on the 4th of October. And then I mentioned that gauntlet. Well, Vegas is the start of that gauntlet because you go from Vegas at home, got three days off, and then you go to Carolina to face the Stanley Cup champions, the Carolina Hurricanes, on October 8th in Carolina. And then from there, you move on to New Jersey to face the Devils in New Jersey. Then you go on to New York to face the Rangers on the 11th. And then you finish your little New Jersey / New York road trip on Long Island against the Islanders on the 13th of October. Then you move on over to Florida to face the Florida Panthers on the 15th of October, followed by the Tampa Bay Lightning on the 17th of October. That's going to be an interesting one. Usually the trip to down south to Florida is usually about November, but they're having it a little earlier in October. So as I said earlier, quite the gauntlet for Manny Malhotra to start this season. And then you come back home to face the Carolina Hurricanes once again. So less than 2 weeks later, you face the Hurricanes at least twice. First in Carolina, and then this one will be at home on the 20th of October. Then you face the Red Wings on the 22nd at home. And then circle this date on your guys' calendar. October 25th, 2026, Quinn Hughes returns to Vancouver for the first time since being traded to the Minnesota Wild. I know a lot of Canuck fans are going to have this date circled on their calendar. A lot of people are going to want to go to this game. And yeah, I expect this to be a key game for the Canucks, not necessarily when it comes to like a win or a loss, but the fact that Quinn Hughes comes back to Vancouver for the first time since the trade, and the fact that we're getting it within the first month of the season is quite interesting. But let me know your guys' thoughts on the return of Quinn Hughes on October 25th against the Canucks. Moving on, you have the Anaheim Ducks on the 27th in Anaheim. Then you go to San Jose to face Macklin Celebrini and the San Jose Sharks on the 29th of October. And then we finish up October on Halloween at home against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So that is an interesting one there for Halloween. But that is the opening month of the season for your Vancouver Canucks. Let's move over to November, where you kick things off against the Ducks. So having just played them on the 27th, you play them again, or we play them again on the 3rd at home. And then on the 5th, we make a trip out east to the Winnipeg Jets to face them on the 5th of November. Then you face the Oilers on the 7th of November. And then you welcome the Philadelphia Flyers to town on the 9th of November. This is a game that I have circled on my calendar because the missus wants to go to this game. And funny enough, they play the Oilers on her birthday, so we'll definitely be going to this one for sure. Her words, not mine. She said, "Lower bowl, let's freaking go." Again, her words, not mine. And then the New York Rangers come to town on the 13th of November. This is another one that I have circled on my calendar. JT Miller comes back to Vancouver. I went to the game last year that JT Miller came back to, so I'm looking to go to this one as well. So as I said, I have this one circled on my calendar. Next up, you have the Vegas Golden Knights on the 15th of November, and this is the first back-to-back of the season. So they're in Vegas on the 15th, and then they are in Utah on the 16th of November. So the first of 11 back-to-backs that we talked about at the start right there. And then they shift over to Seattle on the 19th of November, followed by facing the Minnesota Wild at home on the 21st of November. So quickly, Quinn Hughes makes another return to Vancouver in November there on the 21st, and then another set of back-to-backs. You have the Wild in town and then the Chicago Blackhawks. Probably not going to see Connor McDavid for this one because, remember, he's injured his shoulder. He's probably going to miss the first 2 months of the season, maybe longer. And then 2 days off, and then the Canucks go out to Detroit to face the Red Wings. They also face the Philadelphia Flyers on the 27th of November before rounding out November in Boston against those dastardly Boston Bruins. Moving on to December, we start out the month in the nation's capital against Washington on the 1st of December, then 2 days off. Then they start a homestand, a brief homestand, 4-game homestand there. First against the Buffalo Sabres and then the Dallas Stars. So another back-to-back. First Buffalo, then Dallas. And then they face Washington less than a week later at home. And then they finish their homestand up against the Nashville Predators on the 10th of December. And then they go down for their California road trip, starting off against the Kings on the 12th of December. And then the San Jose Sharks on the 14th of December before finishing that California road trip in Anaheim on the 16th of December before coming back home to face the Sharks again on the 19th. They face the Utah Mammoth on the 21st, and then they face the Calgary Flames in Calgary on the 26th of December. So on Boxing Day, they are going to be in Calgary. And then they come back home to face the LA Kings on the 28th of December, followed by the Seattle Kraken on the 30th of December. No New Year's Eve game this year. And then let's move on to January, where they start off the new year 2027 against the Utah Mammoth on the 2nd in Utah, followed by going out to Seattle to face the Seattle Kraken. And then they come back home for a 5-game homestand to face the New York Islanders on the 5th, the Tampa Bay Lightning on the 7th, followed by the Florida Panthers on the 9th. And then there's a 4-day break in between there. They face the Seattle Kraken on the 14th, and then the Columbus Blue Jackets on the 16th to finish this homestand. Followed by quite the road trip, as you can see here, where they started off in Colorado on the 18th of January against the Avalanche. They then go to Nashville for a game on the 20th in Nashville. And then they have another back-to-back where it's Chicago on the 22nd, and then they're in Pittsburgh on the 23rd of January. Then they are in Minnesota on the 26th. They're in Dallas on the 29th, and then they are in St. Louis and finish the month of January in St. Louis there. On that note, for the road trip, this is the longest road trip of the season right here, where it's, as you can see, it starts from the 18th through the 30th. And yeah, this is the longest road trip of the season right here in January. So that is the significance right there. But let's take a look at February. start off at home against the Montreal Canadiens on February 1st. This is a key date because Brendan Gallagher faces the Montreal Canadiens. Although, hang on. Where was it? I think it was in December. Wait, what? Hang on. I thought there was a game in Montreal, but no. Perhaps this is the first time he faces Montreal, even though it'll be in Vancouver. Gallagher faces his former team for the first time. Well, I could have sworn we faced Montreal before this. Is it October? No. All right, I'm getting ahead of myself here. All right. Then next up, you have New Jersey in Vancouver. And this is actually the start of the biggest homestand of the season for the Canucks. As you can see, there is a 9 day in between this gap in between this homestand. Well, that is the All-Star break. As yes, there will be an All-Star break this year, having had the Olympics this past year, and then the year before that they had the Four Nations face-off. The All-Star game is making a return, and this is actually the longest homestand for the Canucks this season. They'll spend the first couple of weeks of February in Vancouver. It'll be divided by the All-Star weekend. The Canucks will play 7 straight at Rogers Arena that started on February 1st against Montreal. Continues on February 3rd. And then the team is off until the 13th when they welcome the Winnipeg Jets to Vancouver on the 13th there. And then they face off against the Pittsburgh Penguins on the 16th, the Ottawa Senators on the 18th, the Colorado Avalanche on the 20th, and then they finish off the homestand against the Boston Bruins on the 21st. And then they have a quick 2-game road trip against the Dallas Stars on the 23rd, and then the St. Louis Blues on the 25th, and then they come back home to face the Calgary Flames on the 27th of February to finish off the month of February. So, only 2 road games in the month of February. So, let me know your guys' thoughts on this February schedule and the fact that, for the most part, we're going to be at home, which is great. Hopefully, we can have a better home record than we did last year. Moving on to March, we have the Chicago Blackhawks at home on the 3rd. And then here we go. What I was trying to get at earlier with the whole Brendan Gallagher thing. He makes his return to Montreal on March 6th in Montreal. So that'll be a key game right there. Canucks start another road trip with a trip out to Buffalo to face the Sabres on the 9th, the Columbus Blue Jackets on the 11th, the Toronto Maple Leafs on the 13th, the Ottawa Senators on the 14th, and then they come back home for another, I don't want to say big, but big homestand. This is 6-game homestand. So their second biggest homestand of the season is in March against the Nashville Predators on the 17th, St. Louis Blues on the 20th, the Edmonton Oilers on the 21st, the LA Kings on the 23rd, the Vegas Golden Knights on the 25th, then the Ducks on the 27th to finish up this homestand. Then they have a 2-game road trip against the LA Kings and Vegas Golden Knights to close out the month of March. And then moving on to April, they are back home against the San Jose Sharks on the 3rd of April, followed by a game on the 6th of April against the Colorado Avalanche. And then that is the final home game of the season. So that is likely going to be Fan Appreciation Night on the 6th of April. And then they finish off the season with a back-to-back in Winnipeg on the 9th of April. And then they finish the season against the Calgary Flames on the 10th of April. So that is the schedule for your Vancouver Canucks in the 2026-2027 season. Let's actually take a look at some specific takeaways that I mentioned, in the title of this. As I mentioned, there's 11 sets of back-to-backs this season. One, of course, we mentioned in the first week of the season when they host Calgary and Vegas on consecutive nights at Rogers Arena. As we just mentioned, the season ends with a back-to-back set as well. Let's talk about the start times for some of these games. Now, Canucks have a couple of odd start times on the schedule. let's take a look at January. So Monday, January 18th in Colorado, and Wednesday, January 20th in Nashville are both 1 p.m. starts local time. That's 12 p.m. Pacific against the Avalanche and 11 a.m. on a Wednesday against the Nashville Predators. So take that note. The Canucks have a 12:30 p.m. start in New Jersey on October 10th, followed by, let me find October, followed by a 3 p.m. Pacific time puck drop at Madison Square Garden. They also have a 12 p.m. puck drop in November on Black Friday on November 27th against the Flyers. So yeah, that is a 12 p.m. Pacific puck drop and a 2 p.m. Pacific start in Boston on November 29th. They also have a 12:30 p.m. start time against the St. Louis Blues in January here on, what day is it? January 30th, right? January 30th, 12 p.m. Pacific start time against St. Louis. Then they'll have a quick turnaround from a Saturday night game in March against the Toronto Maple Leafs. So they have a Saturday night game against Toronto, and then the following game against Ottawa will be a 2 p.m. Pacific time start to close out the 5-game road trip. Canucks will also host a 1 p.m. start at Rogers Arena late in the season, and this is against Anaheim on the 27th of March. So that game against Anaheim on the 27th will be a 1 p.m. start time for the Canucks. Now, of course, as we all know, BC is getting rid of daylight savings, like all year round. So Canucks games will start at 8 p.m. There's going to be 8 p.m. start times at Rogers Arena for home games. So games are going to run a little later, which means my post-game shows are probably going to be later. Or we'll figure that out closer towards the season. But and here's an interesting note. For years, weeknight home games at the Coliseum, they started at 8 p.m. as well. Now, as we mentioned, in December, Canucks went to Boxing Day. And yeah, that is all the little tidbit notes that I had for the schedule. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Which month is your favorite month of the season for when it comes to these games? We'll take a quick look at October. Are you guys looking forward to the month of October, that gauntlet that I mentioned? Are you guys looking forward to November? Is there a particular game on this schedule that you guys are absolutely ecstatic, excited for? Kind of like with me with the Rangers in town on the 13th. Are you guys looking forward to seeing Quinn Hughes make his return on the 25th of October? Are you guys also looking forward to actually, let me quickly take a look at something, because there's some other Canuck players who are making their returns. I didn't even look at that. Shame on me. Let me just quickly bring it up. Where is it? I can't find it. I was going to go through the list of all the other players and when they come back. Well, at least that, where is it? I guess October 31st, we get the return of Teddy Bluger as the Leafs are in town. So there's one right there. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. What is the game you are most looking forward to seeing? Is it a game in December? Let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts on that. And let me know what you guys think of the 84 game schedule. Like, are you guys okay with the 84 games, or do you guys wish it was still 82 games? And yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts. And also, if you guys enjoyed this little breakdown, On your way out, you can like the video and subscribe to the Line Change for more Canucks, NHL, and off-season related content. And also become a member of the Line Change by hitting that by smashing that join button. And now a quick and important message from our friends over at DraftKings. It all came down to it, a best-of-6 battle that saw the Carolina Hurricanes emerge as the Stanley Cup champions. Now as we enter the offseason, DraftKings has you covered every step of the way. The DraftKings Sports app is now available in all 50 states and includes all markets. Sweat every shift of the series all in one place with one app. New DraftKings customers sign up with code THPN, spend $5 to get $200 in rewards within 21 days. That's code THPN in partnership with DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Bet with DK Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, bet text pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 and over. Void in Ontario. Event contract trading with DraftKings predictions involves risk of loss. Sportsbook bonus bets expire in 7 days. $50 in predictions dollars issued weekly for 3 weeks expire in 1 year. Redeem one non-withdrawable reward. Availability varies. Predictions offer void in New York. Ends June 28. Terms at dkng.co/audio.
Thank you guys for watching. And if you're listening to this on your preferred audio platform, thank you guys for listening. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.